One of the things I like to do with my students when there's time is to use the cushions from Indo board to just place underneath a stand-up paddle board so they get a sense as to what instability is like. So I have a one of the large cushions in back and one of the other cushions here. And today what I want to talk about is foot position. We haven't really talked that much about that. But when you get up on a board, you're going to go into your standard parallel position. This is your main position. Mounting the board perpendicular, going to the front, going to a down dog position, walking my feet to the carry hold slot, about shoulder width, and you see how my feet are parallel to each other? Okay, this is just a good solid stance where you'll be at most of the time. But then we do get into situations where we're going to go to a staggered stance. It's going to be more challenging. You're going to drop one foot back, one foot forward, and this would be a staggered position. So it's more challenging on balance because it's more linear. Okay, we're not dispersing our weight out to the side, and you can see how the board becomes a little more nervous just because my balance is not quite as solid as it was before. Whereas if I go back to the parallel stance, I can quiet the board down a little bit more. I have more balance because I'm distributed out to the sides. So I've got my parallel stance, then I can drop back to a staggered stance, and then we can drop all the way back for a surf stance. So if we are working to catch a wave, we're going to be up in a parallel stance, and then once the tail picks up and we get momentum on the wave, then we move back to our surf stance, or depending on the angle that the wave would dictate. One of the things I like to do is practice some of the various yoga techniques that tie in with this. The warrior postures are a nice staggered stance that are exaggerated. So taking my left foot, locking it down, and then going into a warrior stance, I can get a little more practice on developing a quiet board in a staggered position. And then if I want to challenge myself more, I can go to a side angle posture. And then I can actually take my eyesight up and see. But you see how the less information I get, the more nervous the board can become. So playing with a more linear position on the board really gives me more comfort in terms of moving around on the board as different things are happening. Plus, it can be on any of the longer paddles. If you're just staying fixed in a parallel position, the feet may become fatigued, your muscles may become fatigued. I like to move around on the board, so it's nice to move around from a parallel stance to a staggered stance from time to time. I talked earlier about on the stroke. How the bottom arm is locked through the drive, and then I release. And I can release by almost just letting this hand come down. It's like a non-effort thing. You see how I feather the board in recovery to my reach. Now my catch is all the way down. Now there are a couple strokes that I'd like to show you. One is the power stroke where both arms are locked. Another one I like is just to really load up. So I'll almost get my my thigh leaning forward a little bit with a little twist. And you see how this elbow is bent here? It's almost like cocking a gun, okay? I've really loaded up this area with tons of energy coming from my thigh all the way up across my core to this arm. And as I'm ready to do my drive, I'm coordinating my exhalation with this. So it's much like a karate throw that I'm getting. It's coming from the whole body and with the assistance of a coordinated breath that's coming from way down. Some would say from the soles of the feet. So hopefully you've got just a little better sense as to some key things that really will take you a lot further in your stand-up paddle practice. You'll go deeper every time you go out with awareness to the precise movements that are required. As you go deeper, you'll see that there's less effort, but your efficiency and performance improves. The posture, you'll become more aware of your posture so that you don't have the aches and pains that would come from a lack of awareness to the posture. Because, you know, if you have bad posture, you're going to get some aches and pains. That's not mind restlessness. Now you got body restlessness. So as you pay attention to the posture, as you pay attention to the precision, all of a sudden you can find that you can paddle all day long and you're not ending up with the typical aches and pains that come into a restless body or with the anxiety that comes into a restless mind that just can't let things go and come into the moment for a full practice, for a full awareness, for the best performance that you can have.